there is a connection always between something like an instrument and a person. But in this case, it's really a whole journey. So I traveled as a young man, 16 years old. I had read the writings of Sri Aurobindo, and I was just taken away by the thought that I just felt that it would be India for me. It's strange how these things are, huh? And also, I came very much from what we call the progressive rock time, when there were really wonderful groups playing, you know, we had Genesis, Jethro Tull, and all these wonderful kind of pop rock with a touch of classical artists. But whenever I heard Indian music, I felt that it gave me something that no other music could bring me. So it was touching me. And the best way that I would define that till today is that it touches me in a sort of heart kind of way. And I would say that it touches me in the same way that India touches me. It's something very deep. And so, why I'm telling you all this is that I was a young guitarist, and when I came to India, I just was taken completely by Tamil culture, especially the South Indian Saraswati Veena. And this was a great inspiration for me because playing the Veena, it sort of gave me the first introduction into a completely different kind of music, which had all the phenomena of, you know, the gamaka, like, you know. Or, you know. When I think of that, I think also of the chanting, so the beautiful Vedic chanting, you know. So all these kind of influences were really part of my growing up. And then it went, I was, you know, so I used to travel south of India a lot. India, but south of India, and I literally used to stay and sleep in the temples and get to know all those different aspects of the culture. But the most important meeting that I had at the time, there was a wonderful gentleman who was, well, a young gentleman of 85 years old named Trichy Ramji. And Trichy Ramji became a teacher for me, a friend, and a father in some ways. And I used to go regularly down, and he was the most well-known maker of veenas and tampuras in South India. All the musicians had come to his place. I mean, from all over India, everybody would have to, at some point, meet Trichy Ramji. And so Ramji was also studying microtones. And so the first thing that I did to modify the guitar is, well, first of all, it was the tuning. So it's not tuned like a normal guitar. For those of you who are familiar with guitar, if I do an E chord position on this guitar, one of the most common chords, it will sound like this on this guitar. And then A chord. So it's all a big mess. So it's completely changed. So the first thing was to tune it in sa, pa, like that. And then what I learned from Trichy Ramji was those subtle notes. And I knew that if I could create an instrument that had a mobile fret system, I could reach much better the ragas and understand better the deeper aspect of Indian music. So, you know, there are basics. For example, in Hamsadwani, we know that the Ri is always a little drop higher, Ga is always a bit lower, etc. And all these things. So I actually managed to find a way to create. So I had a very nice guitar, and everybody thought I was crazy. They came home and suddenly they saw the neck was cut off. I cut off the neck of the guitar. They said, "Are you crazy? What's wrong with you?" But I said, no, I have to make a new neck, and I'm going to make a neck that has a movable fret system. So this is not this guitar, but originally it was how it started. So I had the mobile frets, I had the chicory strings, of which I just broke one actually for the first time in like 40 years, I think. But anyway, and then the whole thing, then it was also about suddenly later on redesigning the instrument, and then my favorite of all instruments, of course, beyond anything else, is the tampura. So let's see if we have it here. So this is integrated into the guitar here. That's enough, actually. You could really spend your whole life doing this. And why the tampura? Well, I mean, I always say that every Indian musician ultimately, constantly hears that one note within his music, that original Om, or the original sound, Nada Brahma. So that's the tampura. And then later down the line, when I actually completed this instrument, I used to always be fascinated with the concept of Swaramandal. So, you know, I was like, okay, so then I created this. All this put together at some point, I used to always say that I play a raga guitar, and for fun I used to sometimes write guitar. So somehow recently I sort of, since everybody's always asked me, what do you call your instrument? So it has officially been baptized finally as the guitar. So thank you. So, oh yes, and I forgot, there's something very important I have to tell you. Guess what? It's also a guitar. So. So now we will play a piece from one of my very early albums. It's something that has always been cherished by the musicians I play with. It's a very simple piece. It's simple, right? Is it simple?
Yeah.
And it is
simple for you.
So it is called Oceania because I always felt that it carried that kind of oceanic feeling. And this gives an opportunity to improvise. And so this is Oceania. Thank you. Thank you.